Good morning. My name is Lori Wilfong. I am an associate professor at Kent State University. I teach in the Department of Teaching, Learning, and Curriculum Studies, and I'm also the co-director of the National Writing Project at Kent State University. To help teachers and parents out, I am going to explain the framework for a digital writers workshop platform, something that parents or teachers can use at home with their students in order to keep kids writing. We often talk about summer reading loss, and so parents and teachers are really good about making sure that kids have books to read at home, but we don't always talk about summer writing loss. Right now we're in unprecedented times of students being at home, and so I want to make sure that kids are writing, and also encouraging any adults who want to start or continue a writing habit to write along with me. Every day I'm going to share a prompt, and I'm going to do it in a very specific format. I will share 5 prompts Monday through Friday within a specific genre. So for example, this week I'm going to share narrative prompts, prompts for students to be able to tell a story, either a fictional story or a personal narrative. At the end of those 5 days, I'm going to ask students or yourself to pick one of those prompts maybe to finish, because I'm only going to ask you to write for 7 minutes and 42 seconds. So I'm always asked, why 7 minutes and 42 seconds? The purpose of these prompts is to allow people to dabble in the genre. It is not a time to sit down and write an entire story, but instead to try on the genre, to try on the prompt, see if this is something that you are enjoying writing about. Now, 7 minutes and 42 seconds actually came up from the National Writing Project at Kent State with a participant who is now professor at the University of Miami of Ohio. She said 5 minutes is too short. This is from Kathy Batchelor. 5 minutes is too short. If you set the timer to write for 5 minutes, most people will barely get anything down, especially if you're a person who needs a little bit more time to process. If you tell students that you have 10 minutes to write, it feels like forever. It sounds like forever. And so you get some of those moans and groans. The other thing is, if I tell you I want you to write, often students will ask me, well, how long do you want it to be? So rather than telling your child or your student, I want you to write at least 5 sentences, which is really arbitrary, instead, you're just saying, I'm going to set the timer for 7 minutes and 42 seconds, and you're going to write as much as you can in that time. And the other reason why I give this random time right in the middle of 5 and 10 is in most classrooms, we have analog clocks, and it is literally impossible for a student to figure out how long 7 minutes and 42 seconds is on an analog clock. So I could tell them to write for whatever, because most of them, unfortunately, can't figure out how long it is to write for when I say 7 minutes and 42 seconds. Now, you'll hear my prompts. I'm going to tell you to set your timer. But if the timer goes off and you have more to say, by all means, please keep on writing. If the timer goes off and you say, man, I did not have much to say about that, then that prompt did not speak to you, and that's okay. And so that's the whole purpose of setting up a writer's workshop this way, is this idea of, I want to try out this prompt. I want to see what kind of ideas I have. And at the end of the week, you're going to have 5 of these starts of both personal and fiction narratives. And I'm going to ask you to choose one and see if there's one that you would like to finish because you had such good ideas from it, but you only got to write for 7 minutes and 42 seconds. We're also just trying to build endurance and stamina as writers. Elite athletes often train by time and not mileage. And so when you think of a track runner getting built up for their event, training by time is not thinking about, oh my gosh, how long do I have to run for today, or how far do I have to run today? But it's simply of, here's my workout for the day. It's going to last this many minutes. There's an end in sight. And so we base that 742 both on an anecdote of not being able to tell how long that lasts on an analog clock, but also the idea of we are writing by time, not by the number of sentences. You're going to want to choose how you're going to produce your writing. Are you a paper writer? Get a journal, get a binder out. If you prefer, start a new document in Google, a new Google Doc or a new Word document in your computer. If your child is young, maybe just set them up to draw. Lucy Calkins always says writing is our first, or drawing, is our first writing. And so with that first prompt, if they have an idea that they want to draw, and then they can tell you about what they drew in response to that prompt, that is considered writing for our youngest children. So you don't have to think, well, my kid's not a writer yet. They don't have enough words or enough letters. Drawing is considered writing as well. If you're thinking of using these prompts and eventually these mini lessons in your classrooms, I do highly recommend that you have students set up a Google Doc. They can label it narrative writing for this first week. They will start their prompts and share that Google Doc with you so that you can see what it is they have written. But for everyone, teachers and for parents, there is no grading, there is no correcting or editing these 7-minute and 42-second writings. We want students to feel okay to take risks. And so often we ruin their love for writing by telling them, oh, you didn't capitalize that, or that sentence doesn't sound correct. And so instead, use these 5, 7 minutes and 42-second narrative prompts as a place for students to take a risk, to try out their voice, and to respond to these prompts. Eventually, they will write a draft of one of these, and then we will get into the revising and the editing stage. But for the moment, hands off. You can check if they responded to the prompt. You can read it and write a response of how you felt about what sort of emotions their writing evoked in you, but no red ink, no corrections, no grammar discussions. Right now, just let your students write. I have started a YouTube channel to house these videos and these prompts. Please subscribe if you would like to receive notification every time I post a new video or a new prompt. Happy writing!